Hello everyone! Welcome to my channel. So, ito na po ang part 2 ng function and relations. So, the third way to find the relationship between the domain and the range can be illustrated using the table of values or an equation. So, let's have example. So, according to the example, construct a table of values that will illustrate the cost of number of notebooks if the price is 12 pesos. So, let X be the number of notebook and Y the cost of the notebooks. So, dito, the X variable, which is the number of notebooks, ay ang ating independent variable. So, yung Y, which is the cost of the notebook, ito naman yung dependent variable. Dahil ang cost of the notebook ay didepende kung ilan ang bilang ng notebook na mabibili. So, yung X, that will be 1 notebook, 2 notebook, 3 notebook, 4 notebook, then there is an ellipses. So, yung tatlong tuldok na ito, ang tawag dito ay ellipses. So, it means it continues until sa X number of notebook. So, ibig sabihin, kahit ilan na number of notebook, that will be represent as X. Then, for the Y, how can we get the value of Y? So, makukuha natin yung Y sa pag-multiply natin ng number of notebook sa amount. So, sabi, sa isang notebook ay you have to pay for the price of 12 pesos. So, 12 times 1, that will be 12. So, kung ang X naman daw ay 2, so, you're planning to buy 2 notebooks. So, that will be 12 plus 12, which is 24, or 12 times 2. That is also 24. So, how about on the of 3 notebooks? So, that will be 12 plus 12 plus 12. So, tatlong 12. Or simply 12 times 3, which is 36. And then for the 4th notebook, so we have 12 plus 12 plus 12 plus 12, or 12 times 4, which is 48 pesos, until you have 12 times X. So, 12 pesos will be depending on the number of notebook, which is represented by X variable. So, ang equation nito, kung titingnan natin, isang notebook, there is 12 pesos or 12. So, 2 notebook, 24. 3, 36. 4, 48. Kung hindi natin ito alam, ang madiderive natin dito ay 12 times X. So, iisipin natin na yung 12 ay ita-times natin kung ilan ang bilang ng notebook. So, that will be your equation. So, Y, which is the dependent variable, is equal to 12X. So, the total cost is dependent to the number of notebooks. The dependent variable is Y, and the independent variable is X. You can get the total cost of the notebook Y if you supply the number of notebooks X. So, that is the other way of representing the relation of the domain and the range. So let's have the fourth way. So that is graph. So functions or relations can be illustrated through graphs. You can graph by plotting the points on the rectangular coordinate plane. You can take the points from the set of ordered pairs, table of values, or equation, or vice versa. Okay. So our example will be the graph. So this will be the given graph. So when we look at this graph, so kung titignan natin, so this point, so ano ang ordered pair niya? So ang una ay lagi ay sa horizontal titingin. Dahil itong horizontal, this will be your x-axis. So, if this is your point, you draw an imaginary line. So, it falls on 1 pa-vertical. And then, for horizontal, that falls with the 2. So, your first ordered pair will be 1, 2. So, dito yun. So, you can write it as domain x will be 1 and the range will be 2. Okay, so let's have this point. So, ito naman, you go down, you have 2, so that will be the domain, the x. And then, you draw horizontal, you go on the horizontal way. Then, you have 4, that is 4. So, to complete the table, you just locate the points and identify its coordinates. So, ito ay 3 at ito ay 6. Okay, you have 3, 6. And so on again. So, if we extend this indefinitely, then we all know that the formula will be 2x or 2 times x. So, kung makikita nyo, 2, 4, 6. So, in graphs and in tables, you can have, you can find a pattern. So, dito, 2, 4. So, 2 ang difference. 4 naging 6, 2 ang difference. So, doon, yung constant mo na 2, yun ang, isipin mo na, lagi siyang 2 kasi kasunod dito, di ba, 8? So 8 minus 6 is 2 pa rin. So may 2 na difference sila, common difference. So that will be your constant and then you have to multiply it with the variable. So your equation here will become y is equal to 2x. So, let's have this learning task. So, identify the domain and the range and determine if it is a function or relation. So, dito, I have given you one example. So, in this example, I just want to emphasize kung paano sinusulat yung set of domain, set of range. Kasi, pag mali yung pagkakasulat, that will be considered wrong. So, ito, set of ordered pairs. So, katulad na sinabi ko sa unang kong video, when we're talking about set, that should be enclosed by the curly bracket or the braces. So, sa grouping symbol, ang gagamitin natin ay braces. So, since this is the set of ordered pair, alam natin na ang ordered pair is enclosed by parenthesis. So, a set. So, you have your braces, then you have your ordered pair. So, don't forget punctuation. So, what we're going to use here is comma. Okay, in between. So, sa set of domain, you don't need parenthesis. You need only the braces. Because this is only a set of domain. So, you have 5, which is here, the first element of the given ordered pair. 4, 3, and since yung 3 ay dalawang beses na nag-appear, so you have to write it only once. No? So, tanggal yung isang comma dito, no? Yan. So, it should be 5, 4, 3. That's only the answer. And then for the set of range, that will be the second element of the ordered pair. So, that is 4, 3, 2, 1. So, then you have to write this. So, braces, you write the second element from the ordered pair, then close braces. So, if you have noticed, 3 is appeared twice. So, pag ang x or the domain or the x coordinate ay it appears more than 1, then that is relation. So, simple definition of function, dapat ay hindi nauulit yung domain or simply the x, the value of the x variable. Pag naulit iyon, then that is only a relation. Pero, kung maulit man si range ng ilang beses or si y coordinate, okay lang yun. It can be a function. Pero, si x variable o si domain ay kailangan ay hindi maulit. At yun lang ay relation. So, this is an example how to answer this learning task. So, let's have the second example. So, given the set of the domain D, so this set is represented as D for as the domain. So, you have -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. And then you have 1, 2, 3. You have 4 tasks to do. So, the first one is the one that I have done for you. So, set of ordered pairs such that the range is 1 less than the domain. So, the range is 1 less than the domain. So, you have the set of the domain here. So, sabi daw ay 1 less than the domain. So, we have to subtract. So, if you have -3 here, 1 less than the domain, so -1, that will be -4. So, your answer here will be -4. So, -2, 1 less than, -1, that will be -3 on the second ordered pair. And then, if you have -1, -1, that will be -2. And then we have 0 minus 1, that will be -1. And then 1 minus 1, that will be 0. And then so on and so forth. So, ganun lang. So, 1 less than. Then, for number 2, construct table of values such that the range is 2 more than the domain. So, ito pa rin ang gagamitin yung set of domain. Kaya lang, table naman ang gagawin nyo. So, dito, you will draw a table. So, x ang nasa taas, then y ang nasa baba. Then, the value of your x will be this one. Then, you just solve this. Range is 2 more than the domain. So, i-add naman po. More than. Then, for number 3, write the equation for number 1 and 2. So, for 1 and 2, you have to write the equation. So, hanapin nyo yung common difference and that will be your constant. Multiply by the variable x. Then, then for the 4, you have to graph number 1 and 2 on separate coordinate planes. So, tig-isang coordinate plane ito. So, sa number 1, isang coordinate plane. Sa number 2, isang coordinate plane. So, hindi po magkasama. Okay, when you talk of function, you commonly use letter F to denote function and x for the variable. However, you can use other letters to denote function except for x and y to avoid confusion. So when you say that y is a function of x, you can write it as of y is equal to f of x, or y is equal to p of x. So f of x is read as f of x. P of x is read as p of x. These are called function notation. So, ang tawag sa p of x, f of x, h of x, g of x ay function notation. So this means that y is a function of x and that y depends on x. So the dependent variable is y. So lagi, si dependent variable ay si y or f of x. So ngayon, when we're talking about function, ang gagamitin na natin most of the time is f of x, which is simply means sa linear equation ay y. No? So we're talking about linear equation, linear inequality. So now we're talking about linear function. So yung y that will be represented as f of x na sa function, and the independent variable is the x. So, si x pa rin yung gagamitin natin because it is an independent variable. So, sana mas clear na po yun. Then, okay, write the function notation form. So, may dalawang example dito. So, the first example ay nasa slope intercept form lang. So, y is equal to 3x plus 6. So, isusulat daw to sa function notation. So, gagawin lang natin, itong y, we represent this as f of x. In this example, f of x. But you can use g of x. You can use also h of x, any letter. But don't use y to avoid confusion, sabi, di ba? So, f of x is equal to 3x plus 6. So, this is the function notation form of y is equal to 3x plus 6. So, let's have letter B. Negative x plus y minus 1 is equal to 0. So, sa function notation, kailangan ay nasa slope intercept form. So, ito ay nasa general form. So, gagawin natin muna itong slope intercept form. So, dito, that will become y is equal to x plus 1. So, paano naging x plus 1? Yung negative x, nilipat sa kabila. Transposition. At yung negative 1, nilipat din sa kabila. Transposition. So, when negative x transposed, or sabi nga ay tumalon doon sa equal sign, then that will change, no? So, ito yung negative, nagtalon sa equal sign, then that will become x positive. No, the positive x. Itong negative 1, tumalon din sa equal sign. It transposed to the other side of the equation, then the negative 1 will become positive 1. So, naging y is equal to x plus 1. So, kung ito ay na-change na sa slope-intercept form, then, to make it function notation form, just change y to any letter. So, g of x is equal to x plus 1. So, this is the function notation form of y is equal to x plus 1. So, in these two examples, we have to keep in mind that we have to use a small letter. No, lowercase po ang gagamitin. Okay. So, let's have example 1. Given f of x is equal to 3x plus 6, find A, f of 2, B, f of negative 3. So, in function notation form, so pag sinabing f of 2, yung 2, that is the value of the x. F of negative 3 is the value of the x. Kasi nga, di ba, dito pa lang, makikita niya na sabi f of x. So, ito ay value ng x. So, pag nilagay niya dito na f of 2, ibig sabihin nun, yung 2, yun yung value ng x. And then, the negative 3 is also the value of x, which is the independent variable. So, sa solution, if f of 2 means you replace x with 2, and f of negative 3, you replace x with negative 3. And then we have, we solve it the same as we did for linear equation. So, f of x is equal to 3x plus 6. So, always start with the equation or with the formula. So, f of 2, that is the value of x. So, we substitute 2 to the x. So, 3 times 2 plus 6. So, what is 3 times 2? That is 6. So, 6 plus 6, that is 12. Therefore, f of 2 is equal to 12. Or when we write this in an ordered pair, then that will become 2, 12. So, yung 2 is the first element, which is the domain. And yung 12, that will be the second element or the value of the y. Then let's have another example. F of x is equal to 3x plus 6. This time, your value of x is negative 3. So, you will substitute negative 3 to the variable x. So, that will become 3 times negative 3 plus 6. So, what is 3 times negative 3? That is negative 6. And negative 6 plus 6 is equal to negative 3. No? So, just a quick recall. Negative 9 plus 6, you don't literally add it because they have different sign. So, ima-minus yun automatic. No? So, magiging 9 minus 6 ay 3. So, bakit naging negative? Kasi, sino ba ang malaki na malaking number? Yung 9 ba or yung 6? So, sasabihin nyo yung 9. So, 9. Eh, ano ba yung sign ni 9? 3. So, siya ang masusunod. So, that will become negative 3. So, pag plus minus, kung sino yung malaking number, yung sign niya ang masusunod. So, we have f of negative 3 is equal to negative 3. So, the value of x is negative 3 and the value of y is negative 3. So, in ordered pair, that will become negative 3, negative 3. So, that is the solution for that example. So, let's have example 2. If the area of the rectangle is a of x is equal to 4x squared minus 3x plus 10, find the area if x is equal to 5. So, yun na area yon. So, find a of 5. So, a of x is equal to 4x squared minus 3x plus 10. So, that is simply a of 5 is equal to 4. 5 square, so exponent din, minus 3 times 5 plus 10. So, ang unahin natin dito ay di yun na dun sa loob. No, sa grouping symbol, PEMDAS. So, 5 times 5 is 25 times 4, that will be 100. Then, negative 3 times 5, that will be negative 5 plus 10. So, dito, pag magsosolve ka niyan, so, you can have 100 plus 10 is 110. Minus 15 is 95. Or simply, Itong 15, i-minus mo sa semi, matitirang 5, bawasan mo itong 100, then that is 95. So, A of 5 is equal to 95 square units. Bakit square units? Kasi we're talking about area. So, the proper label or unit of measurement will be square units. So, the ordered pair here is 595, given this equation. So, in the previous discussion, you learned that the correspondence between the x and the y pair of function is either 1-to-1 or many-to-1 correspondence. So, pag function, kailangan ay 1-to-1, one element of the domain and one element of the range, that is function. So, many-to-1 means many elements of the domain. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, many. Pero, hindi pwedeng maulit. To one correspondence. So, okay lang siyang iisa yung range mo, tapos marami kang domain. Pero si domain, bawal maulit yung number or value niya. So, that is function. By looking at the ordered pairs or table of values, if every one element in the domain is paired to exactly one element in the range, yun, 1:1 yun, o 1-to-1, or for two or more elements in the domain is paired to exactly one range, then it's a function. So, kahit na marami namang value ng x na hindi nag-uulit, nagdo-duplicate, at isa lang range, that is still a function. Pero once na naulit yung value ng domain, halimbawa ay 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, 1, 1 is considered duplication na naulit. So, that is only relation. So, let's have the vertical line test. So, literally, the vertical line test is the line that is vertical. So, ito yung patayong linya na magko-cross doon sa graph na given. So, usually, ginagamit natin ang vertical line test pag may given graph. No? So, sabi daw, if you draw a vertical line to the graph and intersect to the graph into two or more points, then the graph is not a graph of function. So, pag nag-vertical line test ka at nag-cross sa graph ng more than 2 or more, then it's not a function, that is only a relation. So, let's have this example. So, ito yung graph. No, straight line. So, ito si vertical line test. So, magdodraw ka. Dito nagdraw. So, there is one point of intersection. So, kung gusto mo dito ka magdraw, di ba, pag dito ka nagdraw, there will be definitely one point of intersection pa rin. Eh, kung dito kaya, so there is still one point. So, ibig sabihin ng vertical line test, kahit saan mo i-test yung graph at once lang siya nag-intersect sa vertical line, then the graph is a function. There is only one point of the intersection between the graph and the vertical line. So, you can draw a vertical line anywhere in the part of the graph. Basta, pag once lang ang point of intersection, function yan. So, dito, dinagdag ko na rin dito na the first graph is a line that can be extended in both directions. Thus, the domain is the set of all real numbers so as the range. So, parehas lang sila. You can write it as D for the domain such that X is an element of a real number. So, yung X tapos slash X, ang basa doon ay set of all X such that. Itong parang inverted E, this is called element. And itong R na naka-script ang sulat, that is a real number represented. Symbol for the real number. So, Ulit, yung x na may slash na may x, ang basa doon ay set of all x such that x is an element. So, itong inverted E is a element and the script R is the real numbers. While range is represented as R, set of all y such that y is an element of the real number. So, how about this example? We have a circle. So, sa circle, there is a center and the line from the center to any point of the circle is called the radius. And if you have two or more radius, then you call that as radii. No. So this example na to, you draw a vertical line test. And here, nakita nyo meron siya ditong point of intersection. Isa. At dito rin, may point of intersection din. So there are 2 point of intersection. So kunyari, dito naman gusto mo. Dito tayo. So you draw here. Still, dalawa pa rin yung point of intersection mo. Isa dito at isa dito. O kahit na dito. So, yung pinakamalapit lang. So, sa circle, your vertical line test should be within the circle. No, hindi mo pwedeng ilagay dito yung dito na. Sabihin mo, ma'am, isa lang po ang point of intersection. Dito ko po ginamit. Ay tangent po. Naging tangent na yun, no? Tangency. Ay hindi yun tama. So, dito tayo sa loob. So, kahit anong part ng circle, when you draw a vertical line test, then there will be 2 point of intersection. And therefore, the graph is not a function. This is only a relation. So, the vertical line intersects the circle in 2 points. So, the second graph is a circle with radius fixed to 3 units. No. So, yung radius niya ay 3 units. So, dahil yan ay radius, so that is fixed. So, in any direction, left, right, side, back, left, right, up, and down, that is 3 units. From the graph, the values of x is from negative 3 to positive 3. Ito yun, sinasabi. So, negative 3 to positive 3. And the range or y values are from negative 3, dito naman yun, to 3. Hence, the domain D is an element such that x is, so pagbasa naman ito, we start at the middle. So, x to the right muna, then going to the left. Pag going to the left, we change the sign. So, babalik ta rin natin. Kasi ito yung x ang reference natin. So, pag binasa natin to, that will be x is less than or equal to 3, but greater than or equal to negative 3. So, dito, yung symbol niya ay less than. Pero, since ang x is our point of reference, so, mababaliktad yun. Or, you can read this as negative 3, less than or equal to x, less than or equal to 3. But, usually, x is the point of reference. No? So, kaya nababaliktad natin to. Itong symbol na to, inequality. Kasi papunta tayo dito. So, you cannot read it as x is less than or equal. That will be wrong. So, baliktarin mo yung basa dyan. And the range is equal to set of a value of y such that y is less than or equal to 3, but greater than or equal to negative 3. So, let's have this one, the parabola. So, this is a parabola, opens upward. So, we draw the vertical line test. And it touch only once, no? Point of intersection is only 1. So, dito tayo. Try natin dito. So, if we draw here a vertical line, then it touch only once. So, here, touch only one. So, there is only one So the graph is a function. That vertical line intersect the graph at exactly 1 point. But there are example of parabola. This is open upward. Paano kung open to the left or open to the right? Then that is different. When you draw vertical line test, then it will touch twice. So, there will be 2 point of intersection. Kung itong parabola ay open to the left, pag gano'n, no? Open to the left or open to the right. So, the vertical line test, kailangan lang mag-touch or the point of intersection sa given graph ay once lang. Pag once lang, then that is function. Pag more than 2 na nag-touch, that is relation only. So here, the third graph is a parabola. As you observe, the graph can be extended upward for any values of x. There is always a corresponding value of positive y. Thus, the domain D is set of all x such that x is an element of the real numbers, while the range is a set of all y such that y is greater than or equal to 0. So, bakit greater than or equal to 0? Kasi, nandito siya, solid ang line, then going up. So, y is greater than or equal. So, that is on this direction, so positive. So, in quarter 1, you graph linear equation in 2 variables in the form of y is equal to mx plus b. This can be written in function notation as f of x is equal to mx plus b. So, yung y, we change this as f of x. So, we have now function notation of the slope-intercept, which is the form of a linear function. So y equal to mx plus b ay kay linear equation. So, si f of x is equal to mx plus b ay para na kay linear function. When you graph the linear equation in 2 variables and the linear function, both will give you the same line. Okay. So, naiba lang naman yung tawag kasi naiba na yung process. But, you still have the same graph, straight line. So, for example, graph f of x is equal to 2x plus 3. So, if you have 2x plus 3, so, you have the value of x, so negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2. Yung f of x mo, which is negative 1. So, paano nakuha si negative 1? Kasi ito na yung value ng, itong negative 2, you substitute it here. So, 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Plus 3, that is negative 1. So, ito yung y. Ginawa lang f of x kasi we're talking about function. So ano na yung ordered pair mo? X, f of x. So, negative 2, negative 1. Okay. For negative 1, your f of x is 1. So, paano kuha yung 1? So, si negative 1, you substitute here. So, 2 times negative 1, that is negative 2, plus 3, that is positive 1. So, you have negative 1, 1. Oh. If x is 0, so 2 times 0 is 0. So, you have 3. Then, you have 3. So, 0, 3. So, for 1, so 2 times 1 is 2 plus 3, that is 5. So, 1, 5. Then you have 2. 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4 plus 3 is 7. So you have 2, 7. So you have now the table of values. So this is the table of values. You can write this on the vertical column or on the horizontal column. The other way, it's okay. As long as you label it correctly, no? So, for x, that is still x. So, f of x na ang gagamitin, hindi na si y. Kasi we're talking about function, linear function. So, f of x. But we all know that f of x is the value of the y. Okay, so you can determine the slope. M is equal to rise over run from the graph. No? So, ngayon, ipa-plot mo na yung mga points na to. No, ito ipa-plot mo, negative 2, negative 1. So, that is here. Negative 2, negative 1. Ito yon. Then, we have negative 1, 1. So, ito yung negative 1. Ito yung negative 1. Ito yung positive 1. Then, you have 0, 3. No, 0, 3. That is the y-intercept. Then we have 1, 5. And then we have 2, 7. Ayun. Pinlat na yung points. Then you draw a straight line. Connect all the points with a straight line extended on both directions. So you don't forget the arrowheads on both side of the line. So dito daw ay gagamitin natin yung slope, no? So rise over run. So, ganun pa rin yung proseso sa katulad ng linear equation. So, you take any of the 2 points. So, dito ang ginamit ay negative 1, 1, pati 1, 5. No? So, yun yung 2 points na ginamit. Then, you draw, dito ay run, then rise. No? But usually, if you have 2 directions, so sa akin, para hindi masyado malito, you do the rise, no? So, rise. So, papunta doon. So, from 1, you go up until you intersect yung pa-horizontal. So, that is 1, 2, 3, 4. So, there are 4 rise. And then, for the run, so, that is 1, 2. So, 1, 2 lang yun. So, mula dito, isang box, then another one. So, that is 2. So, we have 4 over 2, or 4 divided by 2, that will be positive 2. And the trend of the graph is increasing. No. Then that is positive. Kasi 'di ba sabi ko, pag ang slope, pag yung you can literally climb up, that is positive. No. Kasi pag negative, pababa yung ang graph mo. Pag slide, no, pag pwede kang mag-slide pababa, then that is negative. Pero ito taas, then you have a positive one. So, the slope is positive when the line rises to the right. If the line falls to the right, the slope is negative. Okay. So, given the graph of the function, construct the table of values and determine the function. So, ito naman daw. Ang example dito, ito daw yung graph. So, magko-construct tayo ng table. So, dito, ang ginamit niyang table ay horizontal, no? Kanina is vertical. So, ito naman daw, baliktad. Ito yung graph. Kunyari, wala pa ito. Ito muna, titingnan nyo. So, magko-construct tayo ng table. So, you may start here. Kunyari, gusto mo dito mag-start. Negative 3, negative 7. Or you may start here also. 3, 1. No. So, you can start anywhere as long as yung lahat ng points dito ay mailalagay mo sa table, no, para magkaroon ka ng table of values. So your x, you have negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, yun. So based from this graph, so may 6 na domain ka. So your y ay di yung pagganon para makuha mo. So, this is 7. This is 6. Yun, tumapat doon. Then, this is 5. This is 4. This is 3. This is 2. This is 1. So, kung paano mo sinulat yung domain mo or the set of your x coordinate, ganun din yung direction mo for the y pag gumamit ka ng graph. Hindi yung you start with negative 3, tapos biglang dito ka nag-start ng y. ay di mamali ka. So, wherever you start to get the value of the domain or the x, doon ka rin mag-start for the y para makuha mo yung ordered pair properly. So, to find the function, determine the slope and the y-intercept. So, yung function notation tinatawag dito, the equation, no? In the graph, the y-intercept b is 4. So, sa graph, makikita natin na the y-intercept is 4. So, we don't need to solve it kasi nga, by graph and by table, it's clearly shown na 4 ang y-intercept. So, may 4 ka na, positive 4. So, instead of using the rise over run sa graph, kunyari, ayaw mo ng rise over run, no? So, you can use 2 points. So, the formula for the slope is y sub 2 minus y sub 2 minus y sub 1 ito. Sorry for the error, typographical error. So, x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So, ang point dito, kung ito ay parehas sub 2, ito dapat ay parehas sub 1. No. So, ang ginamit niyang point dito ay 0,4 pati negative 3,7. Yun ang ginamit niya. 0,4 tapos negative 3,7. So, 4 minus 7 that is negative 3 and 0 minus negative 3 is positive 3. So, negative 3 over 3 is equal to negative 1. So, ito yun. So, by table, you can use also 2 minus 1 is 1 and 2 minus 3 is negative 1. So, 1 over negative 1, that is only negative 1. So, we have to form the f of x is equal to mx plus b. So, what is the value of your m? That is negative 1. So, that is definitely negative x plus 4 only. So, 4 is the y-intercept. So, that is the function duration. And that's all for this topic. Thank you, and I hope you will learn something for this.